So I guess this video is part two of variance in my conversations with you all. Um, I'm not going to divulge these effects that if you just take any picture of anything, it's going to be in there. You have to zoom in, freeze, make it a picture, get in a zoom, zoom it in, and look at the pixels closely as you zoom in. You'll see things going on. There are sexual in content. And unfortunately, the reason why that is because they're trying to stimulate you subconsciously to be horny, to date women. Now, when I had mentioned the COVID virus being poisoning cells, what I was trying to refer to was that it poisons cells quicker with low immune systems, that by design. That way it's not going to, if it goes, it won't go over haywire unless you got a bad immune system. So actually what's happening is taking advantage of weak people to kill them off because they're not going to be repeated in the future if need be from these other beings, extraterrestrials. Humans are also involved, but they're amped up versions of us. Now, they're the ones that have the moon, and it's, I don't like to use Death Star, but it is a space station. The moon is a space station to control the Earth. It's also a weapons depot in case other aliens have bad intentions. Mars was destroyed to a certain degree, but they still have an underground complexes, and they weren't completely destroyed because of that. They did have a subdimensional bumper on Mars as well, just like they do the moon. But that one failed for some reason because it was a beta test terraform planet to begin with and had expectations of not being the longer living one as far as planets go. So it already was precluded that, well, we're not going to probably be able to keep our beta test in the best conditions because, and like us, their resources are only available by condition. If they aren't able to accomplish certain things, they also can be depopulated. So because they are subservient robots, but with it, what seems to be a free will randomness, if you will, kind of a random poke every now and then to kind of stimulate other thought waves, where a conspiracy theorist is simply trying to make another opinion. Someone else will try to divert that as a non-fact, and that being a conspiracy theorist is against a logistics norm, which it is not. To think of other things and possibilities is what makes an investigator a good one in any business. That's why so many people have problems with profiling, because they know that's how information is properly gained and how you can do a diagnostic on a human being, whether it be in simple format like that, a general investigator, or somebody who puts a more or less nanotechnology into an inoculation to only be, and also be able to turn people off at will. So if you take the inoculation, this is my final warlock, work here. This is for at least COVID in this regard, is that once you get the inoculation, they can tap in like very quickly. They don't have to, it's less complicated. And when they tap in that way, they don't have to use remote devices that could cause you neurological problems and stuff. So they use an inoculation. Now, how long have they been doing stuff like this? Your guess is as good as mine, but I'm assuming as soon as they started doing inoculations, just like the Nazis in Germany, they wanted to investigate and use us all as guinea pigs with a little at the dotted line, sign your name if you're in the Army, Air Force way back in the 40s or whatever it is you do. And, basically keep your mouth shut, and anything you suspect, keep your mouth shut. If it has to do with us, keep your mouth shut. Sign right here, motherfucker. So that's why I'm not so, I'm not complacent to internet information, although once in a while I'll see something and I can debunk it later. But the truth is, I think this world has, through a synthetic linear time spans that are hard to quantify and make, in some way, shape, or form to us mathematically quantifiable to what we think the universe is. Like I say, these beings, their matrix works a lot more efficiently, but the problem is there are a few extraterrestrials that do want to, make it harder for us, not necessarily destroy us, because also some resources can be gained just to be friendly, because they are higher intelligent beings. But there are a few that are scattered. You might as well refer to them as the Klingons of the circumstance. They are also, a lot of them are being cut off, and so those particular kinds of extraterrestrials get cut off rather often. And you could almost look at them like a rogue, drug selling biker gang at that point, because what you're dealing with there at that point, you're dealing with something that is of higher order, yet they still have the similar complacencies within the social binary of structures that make up our ability to communicate with each other, as well as the artificial AI that is in our genetics that helps us fill in for the lost evolutionary time to develop, because they manipulated us from apes. So the only reason we are like this is because by proxy we have to be robots. We could not just mix apes and certain kinds of humans and get results quickly without certain ways to do it, which left out a lot of evolutionary instinctual buildup. So to fix that, they inject personalities into us, and to unhack them. Most of them are impressed by that. So don't act like just because you unhack from their system, the AI system that's in your genetic, they're offended by that. However, they find it intriguing if you can think past their control mechanisms, and they don't diss you for that. They actually respect you. Extraterrestrials, for the most part, if they think you can do that, they're like, oh, that's one of the special ones. We leave him alone. He's fun to watch. He's entertaining. And he actually makes things happen outside of the realm of his physical known brain, which is part of a matrix connection. And once you do that, you're able to, even though movies are made called Matrix, this is different, more perfected Matrix. They can augment the linear time spans, and you wouldn't even know that things happened in between the time you grew from baby to adult, that things were going on within their synthetic linear time involving you. In many cases, you didn't even know it, because you are a subservient, servo robot, biologically made for disposal for a reason, so they could do tests on what our linear time may be, not as proficient, but they do that from time to time, just to see if they can do some certain things within our linear time status without manipulating it. And that's when you see UFOs. Because to do that, they actually, sometimes they have to uncloak and stuff because of the way their technology is. But for the most part, they're aware of every camera. They know what kind of camera is in what area. They have a radar. They know every camera available within. So if UFOs do show up and they're not trying to stand out, they just go to places where that's less likely, like over the ocean and stuff. Now, these beings, they do farm us. They're farmed. There's probably about, who knows how many, like 17 more that are farmed on up slide scale. I use slide scales a lot because, slide angle rather, because really that's generally how it works. But they still have the same conflicts and issues. They're just on more of a different, the plane of existence is completely different. And, one thing they do have on us that, unfortunately we can't figure out is, like cows see a fence, they don't want to try to get through it for the most part, and they design us that way. We are prepped for higher development, but our stock has to be, from time to time, we have to be, not just trimmed, but, some genetics have to be stopped. Now, it also means that the people that are in our tech that aren't as cohesive with these extraterrestrials on Earth, they're the ones that could cause some problems. They could make it short out, the AI system short it out, make it go south real quick, make the human even maybe die of a heart attack, all kinds of things they could do if they wanted to. Now, the last thing you want to do is let them continue to use you as a guinea pig and do stuff like that. Now, most people will develop immunity to COVID. It is basically just a cold that has been advanced by a synthetic means, I believe by Obama, our recent president. He decided to do it because he spoke too much about it early on, which made me suspicious about his intentions, and he was a Muslim kowtower. So I think that Obama is generally responsible. He got it out. He got this thing going, and he wants to disturb politics, and he's not for America, even though he put on an act like somehow or another he was a lousy president on top of it. But the point is, once they control people like that, they can say, you know, this guy, we can't really censor him for acting like a schizophrenic that has knowledge. But what we can do is we can, once he takes that inoculation, whether he decides to do it himself or we make it mandatory, we can turn him off at will, so we won't have any problem from him anymore. Anyway, that's my video. Have a good day.